All right. Wow, that is a big red button that says live. That looks absolutely beautiful. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Sunday. This is Chris Alicia coming to you live with my beautiful friends, the Muses, here to talk about all of the topics that are really live in the spiritual world at this time, and the animals that are really live in the spiritual world at this time. So I'm coming to you today. I've got my beautiful co-hosts, Steph, Kat, and Katie. We're going to be talking to you today about a topic that we did not prep on pretty much intentionally because Spirit has completely blocked our creativity, and that is trust. How to trust Spirit, how to know when something is right, when something is wrong, how to trust when you're getting guidance and it's not just your imagination. This is a huge thing that spiritual people struggle with forever. I don't know if it ever goes away. Maybe Buddha really started trusting completely 100% of the time, but the rest of us are human. And trust is a huge factor in taking spiritual leaps. So that is going to be our topic today. How do you know? How do you trust? Steph, I'm calling on you first.
I was getting ready to yell.
Knew it was coming.
Well, it's like okay, for me, because I can only speak on how it shows up in my field, in my human, in my body, in my etheric body, in my etheric body, in my causal body, and all my subtle bodies, and my energy points, and my layers, right? You feel it.
I think that's the only way.
I don't know what other word you use besides feel. There's probably some beautiful ancient language, and Sanskrit is immediately coming in, that has a word that describes the essence of what we're saying differently. And it's more of a total being integrated sense. I don't know if there's another word. I am trying to use other English words, like you feel it. You feel it.
Yeah, the word that comes to my mind is connection. It's like when I feel separate from the whole is when I doubt. And it takes thought, it takes focus, like it takes awareness, you know what I mean? It's a journey, but you do get to a point, like you said, Steph, where you know that feeling, where you tap into something that is bigger than you, and you feel held. One of my favorite sayings is, well, not sayings, I don't know if it's a prayer or what it is, but may God hold you in the palm of his hand. I've said that many a times to people that are really struggling. And that's what I think is really that trust that I've got to tap into something bigger than me and know that there is some divine order, and I am being held and I'm being guided, and take the leap, whatever it is, whatever it may be.
I love that. Yeah, I do too. I actually, okay, so everybody knows now that we moved the show time, I'm like fresh from the pulpit when we come to do the show. And so this is so synchronistic, of course, because we didn't talk about this ahead of time. We didn't, but what I preached on this morning was taking the risk. That we are given this gift. We have gifts and abilities handed to us, through us, for the collective. And not taking the risk. The whole parable for this morning was, it was about the talents. The master that gave 5 talents to one man and 2 to another and 1 to the third. And the men that got the 5 talents and the 2 talents, they took the talents and they invested them and they brought back a return. And the third man went and buried his in the dirt because he didn't trust the master. And he just wanted to guard it. He did nothing with it. And the entire message was that we're called to take the risks. We're called to use the gifts and the abilities and not do nothing with them, because that's what upset the master. He was upset that the man did nothing. He didn't ask for it back. He didn't say, give me that back. You can't have it now because you did nothing with it. He said, you take what you did nothing with, and now you give it to this man. It was a little different.
I love that. And that's a message I've been getting as well. And I have a huge problem with trust because it's just I hate to feel like a fool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially the more you progress in the spiritual world, the more information comes to you that you've never heard of before and that you cannot validate through outside sources.
Yeah.
So trusting that it's not just, it's too big for me. It's in my imagination. I'm definitely not cool enough to be getting this level of information. And the message that I keep getting whenever I ask, is this real? Is that spirit is not giving me this information for me. Like, stop thinking that this download of information is just to make you feel good about you. It has to be blasted out. And it doesn't matter if one person receives it or a million people receive it. It's not for you. And we really are just vessels. And that freedom really opens me up to just spew out the information that comes to my head in a way that I hadn't been able to before. So
I love that.
Yeah. And Stephanie, I was with a preacher one time that is spiritual like you, and it was really interesting because I didn't say anything, but I somehow she said like Archangel Gabriel was coming through to give me a message, and Archangel Gabriel is the angel that's in charge of communication. And so it was basically like, stop being shy. You have things that come to you for the purpose of sharing with others. And when you hold back and you doubt yourself and you go, I'm not going to say that. That's going to make me like, people are going to look at me weird, like exactly what you're saying, Chris. It was like, get out of your own way, like don't make it about you and focus on the bigger picture. So yeah, that's really cool. That's synchronistic.
So cool. How about you, Kat?
So this is not, it's not something I struggle with terribly, to be honest with you. I don't know what do I want to say? What I want to say is that my whole experience of sort of waking up and being called out and in involved a whole lot of time alone in the human side. Obviously I was with spirit and everybody on the other side of the veil, but and the rest of the natural world, the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, but not a lot of humans. And so had a lot of time by myself to play in that space, and had affirmations of, verifications of what was going on all over the place, and learned in that space to seek my answers and my magic and what's possible in that space, rather than verifying with teachings that exist here. And I think it's not a super common way to come at this. I think it's becoming more common. But I think it's harder in some ways to start that way because you don't have a lot of the kind of, what do I want to call it? You don't have a lot of other people saying to you, yes, or no, or yeah, but, or look at this, or whatever. But it ends up creating a space of faith and trust and openness that is really kind of cool to play in. The possibility of not needing to lean on document and doctrine and what's sort of been accepted thus far. It creates a space of allowing new things, what's next, to come in, that there isn't any doctrine for, that there isn't, any what anybody would call proof of yet. And that's the space in which I would like to live all the time.
That's an excellent point. And such a unique journey that Kat's had is dealing and coming up through the animal kingdom versus the human animal kingdom. It's automatically more accepting. You know, they are closer to their connections than we are. They don't have all that outside stimuli. So mine is the complete reverse, is coming up in the superhuman system, you know, coming up through the military and the government. It's the exact opposite. Everything makes you feel stupid. Everything makes you feel wrong. So you just question yourself in everything. It's a constant place of doubt. So I love the idea of finding that acceptance so early on in the journey. I think that's amazing.
Well, and I think also it's one of the tricks, if you would call it that, of the journey, one of the tests, or one of the, it's actually not a trick or a test, but it's an obstacle. I would call it an obstacle of the journey is to be able to step in faith, because every time you take one step in faith and it gets rewarded, and it always does. You may not understand exactly how it's getting rewarded in that moment, but it always does. It then becomes easier to take the next and the next and the next. And I think also there's an Albert Einstein quote, which is one of my favorites. It's imagination is more important than knowledge. I'm sure everybody's heard that one. Imagination, as we all know, is the space that we, in which we connect. And so I also think it's okay if you're not completely convinced in any moment that this is exactly what you think that it is. And I think the openness to not defining really anything in the moment, unless you've got all the information and you're positive, then, run with that. But I think it's a good practice to not really define anything in the moment and just kind of flow with it and see what happens. And then as time goes on, we get more information, we get more clarity, So if we're in a state of yes, no, black, white, faith, doubt, faith, whatever, defining everything, then that makes everything more difficult. If we are in a state of just imagination, allowing and possibility, faith that all will be what it is meant to be, and just taking the ride, there isn't as much of a need to define everything and decide all the time, is it or isn't it? And just be in an open state of allowing and sharing. I think that changes everything.
Absolutely. If trust is the mission, the outcome, then allowing is the key. It's the way to learn trust, is just to allow things to happen as they're going to happen and not try to control them.
Ride the wave.
Ride it, yes. And it is a hell of a wave. You allow.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Kat, I feel like you were just speaking to me on another level. I really do.
That happens all the time.
I know. It's so wild. And immediately it brought up for me, which I haven't shared with you ladies, like the underpinnings, the underworkings of this workshop next week in my group, which is called Cell to Soul. And it's that whole new look at how divinity plays in every layer of our being, right down to our DNA. And you said, it's so synchronistic. I almost could have lost my lunch next to me while you were talking, because of what came up in my gut, like this realization that everything I was feeling and thinking about the way that this will be presented next week and what I'm teaching, I'm like, crap, this is from spirit. Like, this is truth that I have felt and experienced. And I was in the shower, about ready to have a breakdown over it. Like, can I do this? That it was a need for validation, a need for a works cited page. Right? And it hit me all of a sudden. I was like, spirit doesn't need a works cited page. What? That doesn't make any sense. Yes, it's perfect.
Spirit needs an absence of a works cited page.
Yeah.
Requires an absence of a works cited page, because we are not living in yesterday or the day before or the day before or the day before. We are always evolving and moving into what's next. And if we can't create anew, if we can't bring in anew, how are we going to do that?
Right. And that's what the whole thing is about. So it would be backwards and upside down to be like, here's this information and here's where I found it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, like, that's a proof for what we're talking about also, because I didn't know that what was coming out of my mouth was going to in any way impact what you were thinking or doing, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And I feel like it's always like that. It's just literally always like that. There's a message in everything that we share for somebody who's going to hear it. The question just is, you know, do we always know who's going to hear it, or do we always know who it's for? No, we don't. So it just underscores the imperative of showing up and
Trusting it.
Yes. Yeah.
Just trusting it and stepping into it and being like, all right, this is what Spirit is bringing through, and it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Here it is, world.
And the everyone's that it's for, they will get to it.
They're going to be the ones that show up.
Yep. Yeah. However, wherever, whenever, they will get to it.
Yeah. So cool.
That is another tough part about this world, especially what we're doing like on the show, is you come forward and you're just trusting that this will be what it needs to be, and that it'll reach who it needs to reach. But the world wants you to look at numbers. It wants you to look at feedback. It wants to quantify what is really unquantifiable. And what is the point of receiving these messages from Spirit? Maybe it is just one. Maybe it's just one person that needs that truth at that moment. And you'll never know. But that's what we're here to do, right? That's the part of the ride that's the most exciting. You have no idea who that is touching at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. And the ripple effect, you know, they say like for every person that gets touched, they end up touching 100 others, right? Because just, you know, even not with words, with energy. So it's that butterfly effect of something that's happening, you know, in Seattle that affects Brazil. That always just trips me out, like that concept. But I mean, we're swimming in this ocean of neutrinos, which is basically like the breath of stars, you know, like it's all flowing through us, like the smallest particles of stardust. And that's why, you know, it hits us in the morning and then it hits, you know, the other side of the world. And we've imprinted that with our energy, and then it flows back, and it's just like a big ocean. It's so cool. And one thing that I remember coming across that really helped shift my perspective is it's like, if you get into that mode of doubt, or like, I don't want to speak out, or I don't think this is going to impact anybody, you're turning it inward. And so you just need to come with the perspective of being of service. Like today, like Chris was saying about this show, like we just show up every week, and, you know, sometimes we have an agenda, you know, of what we want to get across, and other times we don't. And we're just like, well, we'll just see what moves through us. And the feedback that we get from all of you guys that are watching is just that gives us purpose, right? When we are, you know, just trying to put ourselves out there and make the world a better place, how can you not be blessed in return?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got Melinda watching, who is just possibly our number one supporter. But
Melinda. Love Melinda.
It is wonderful to live in trust, as long as the ego doesn't get in the way. The ego tries to pull you out of trust. It tries to make you doubt. And as far as the field test that Steph was talking about, I actually feel those things in two different places. Like fear feels almost very guttural. It's in the stomach. It makes me feel kind of, my stomach's upset. I want to kind of hunch over and protect my center. But when you trust, it's almost like taking a deep breath. Like just everything just kind of falls away. So I feel it in two different parts of my body, which for me is a good indicator of what I'm living in. Am I living in ego, or am I living in spirit? And I don't know if you ladies have that same kind of physical response when you're in tuned and in trust.
It definitely is more flowing from the heart-based living, you know?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, please.
I forgot what I was going to say. I would say I completely agree with you with regard to the fear center, kind of like a fear response, I guess, being a gut thing, feeling like a gut response. And then I think it quickly moves to the head almost immediately. And then the tracks, the word tracks, the stories that we tell ourselves, round and round and round start. I know what I was going to say. There was, I may have said this before, I can't remember. There was a man that said to me one time, told me a story about, I was coming to him for some help with something. And I was uncertain about a couple of things, specifically having a hard time. The very first time that I ever went to show up in person at someone's home and do like a live time session, no preparation before whatsoever. And I was terrified. I think might be an accurate word. I actually rescheduled it 3 times and was sitting in my backyard looking at pictures of the dogs that I was going to talk to. And one of them came through and said, "Are you really ever going to come?"
Oh.
And that changed everything for me. That helped me to get to a space of, okay, I'm not going to cancel again, at least, or reschedule again. But I reached out to him because I was having trouble, and he was somebody that I looked up to. And what he said to me was that in the discipline that he had pursued, there were 12 people who started in this class that he took, certification process. And I might get these numbers a little bit wrong, but the point will be the same any which way. Of the 12 people, I believe 6 of them were willing to practice with each other. So in the class, not anybody outside the class, these 12 people who expressed a belief in this process, who were invested, who he spent time with in class every day, only 6 of those people even were able to move through the fear of judgment and failure and all the things that we wonder about to be able to show up and practice with each other. Of those 6 people, 4 were able to practice with people outside of the class. So they lost half the class at the idea of practicing within the class. And then another third of the class, when asked to move outside and practice with people who maybe would judge you a little bit more harshly, who maybe wouldn't understand, whatever the case, whatever they were afraid of. And of those 4 people that were willing to practice outside, he was the only person out of 12 that got the certification that ever went on and professionally provided this service for somebody or charged people, showed up and charged people. And I always think that's valuable. He said, one of the things he said to me that day was, "This has nothing to do with you. This isn't you. It's not about you. Your job is to show up and get out of the way. Just get out of the way." And that has changed everything for me. I always, remember that. I don't think I'll ever forget that. I love the idea of removing the pressure, but also it's just true. It's not me. It isn't me. I'm a part of a team. And my human does get out of the way in order to do the work. If I'm, Kat, present in my brain and showing up to do the work, if I'm going to do the work, I've already failed before I've even started. If I'm going to show up and get out of the way and work with my team, then they're not going to fail. I mean, really? They know what they're doing. Things get brought through all the time that I would never do. It's crazy for me to even think and plan. I don't even plan half the time. Why would I? They've got something better than I do. I don't have access to what they have even through them. But the information that they have about The individuals that I'm working with, I don't have that information. What the hell am I going to plan? You know, that would be as appropriate as what they're going to bring through. Now, that doesn't mean I don't do any preparation or don't do anything, you know, to the things that make sense. But it's important to remember to get out of the way. And it's also important to remember, I think, when we're talking about trust and faith and spiritual work, you know, bringing that into when you are showing up, had that man not shown up and started a business, not a, I'm just going to give this away to everybody because it's not worth anything. You know, we have to be able to support ourselves. We have to be able to, there's also an energetic exchange that is required when there's a diminishment of the exchange when nothing is received for it, or almost nothing is received for it. I've experienced that over and over again. And had he not been willing to stand up and recognize and assert the value of what he is bringing onto this plane so that he can show up every day to do it, meaning he can support himself and not be doing something else and not have time for that. If we can't stand in that space, we're going to have a tough time, not just moving forward for ourselves, but also being accessible to people. Had he not been accessible to me, my journey would look different, and all of the people that I've been accessible to. So there is, I like to talk about that all the time. I know it's not a super popular topic, but I think it's a really valuable and valid topic because every day I talk to people who are firm in the idea that if you're doing spiritual work, it has to be for free. It has to be for $5. It has to be nonprofit. It has to be, and I would assert that it is the most valuable work that is happening on this plane, the most valuable work that is happening on this plane. And it's important that light workers, light warriors, light workers, that we are able to create what we're here to create, to provide what we're here to provide, to grow what we're here to grow. And if we are the ones that are like, why should all of the energetic means be outside of the space that can do the most good? That makes sense.
Well, and it kind of reminds me, there's a little bit of a karmic, element to it too. When I was studying Reiki healing, the original founder of Reiki, that is based in Japan, he had developed, got out of his way, got out of his ego, opened, up this beautiful channel, and, found this healing method that could, help save lives, do tremendous things. And so he felt compelled to, here he had this gift. And so he would go down to the areas where, the poor and the afflicted and the diseased, and he would, start blessing these people and healing them. And then he watched and he realized not everybody wants to be healed. Even sometimes when you think you want to be healed, there's things going on a higher level that, you might not be aware of. And so when he was doing that without their investment, and their commitment, they would end up just going back and doing the same things that led them there in the first place, to the problem. And so along the way, he realized there has to be, an equal level of awareness and exchange in any kind of healing. Or, my Qigong master speaks of that sometimes. You have to be very careful of, healing is a very powerful thing. And you can actually end up taking on somebody's karma when you are, involved in their healing, if it's not done, in the right way. And so to Pat's point, yeah, I think it's very important to have an equal energy exchange, an equal level of commitment. Everybody has to have skin in the game, focused on a positive outcome.
What do you guys think about that?
I completely agree. It's something that hems me up all the time too. Especially I focus on the veteran community, the first responder community. And the idea of charging them is tough for me. However, and I've heard it from you, Kat, and I've heard it from others, and you're 100% right. They need to have a commitment in their own healing. You know, if you're given everything without asking, is it what you need? Will it really resonate with you the same way it would if you were committing to yourself? And that's a tough one. I 100% agree. People need to, Lord knows, we've all committed a lot to our own spiritual journeys.
Yeah.
So we understand when you invest, it takes you to a different level. It does. You're investing in yourself.
You don't show up the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah. If it's a free webinar or whatever, I might log in, but I've got 10% of my ear there. The other 20%'s on a game. And then I got the cat and the family running around. However, if I pay good money for that thing, I want all distractions to go away because I have committed to this. And it really does. It's you commit in a totally different way.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Steph, is it something you ever struggle with?
What's that?
The idea of equal exchange of energy.
In money?
Say again?
In money? Are you talking about finances?
In money, in charging for the value of what you provide. Yep.
Nope. I haven't struggled with it. In fact, I've seen and watched people completely shift their lives because of, like Chris is saying, you show up differently.
Yeah.
You show up completely differently.
Yeah.
You have invested in yourself. And because you have invested the money, which you know represents your time and your effort and all of these things, you're willing to make sure that that money you invested with your time and your effort gets where it's supposed to go. Like, what are you doing once you say you sign up for something and you realize, oh, it's on sale. Oh, it was $500. Now it's $44. Are you kidding me? Everybody's signing up for that because what's $44? What is that going to do to anchor your commitment when something comes up that all of a sudden your ego is telling you is more important or someone else is telling you should be more important? Well, it's $44. I'll just do it again.
Exactly. You know, the other side of this that we haven't talked about is it requires the person who's providing the service to show up differently as well.
Yeah.
If I'm offering something for a small amount of money, I don't feel the same way as if I'm offering something for a larger amount of money. It requires that I step up and step into the space differently as well. I think everybody on all sides of the equation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I can see that with Emily Harrison, our mentor.
Yeah.
When you commit to her programs, she wants you to feel that you're not only getting the spiritual leap forwards that you want, but that it's worth it for you. She wants it to be worth it on both sides. So she's constantly going out of her way to make sure that we feel special and embraced and in that container that she talks about. You know, you're investing to be a part of something bigger.
Yeah, up-leveling and upgrading and growing and learning all the time, and also being a teacher and a student. I think that is one of the most valuable things in a space, in a teaching space, for the teacher to be able to be a teacher and a student, and not allow ego to come into that space. She does that so beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we talked about the feel test. I can feel the passion and that trust that you ladies have just by speaking to you. And I know, because this is something that I struggle with, I'm always going to come to you when I'm having issues. But like, I can't, they yelled at me for asking for money and I can't handle it. They make me feel bad. I'm coming to you. And I'm going to need you to just knife hand me or something. Because we're constantly going to fall back into ego. It's there, you know, it's there for a reason. But having a support network like you ladies that are trusting in different places that I'm not it's just wonderful.
It's really the perfect setup. I mean, to be in tribe is so important. It changes the journey entirely, totally changes the journey because I mean, this is something that I used to start the whole charging thing. I did sessions for free, and then I did sessions for nothing. They were, next to nothing, and then I've had every kind of circumstance you could possibly imagine, and I'm sure there will be many more to come. Although they won't occur the same way because I don't function that way anymore. But I can remember even charging people for sessions, but then going way over and saying, "Oh, well, if you feel, that whole idea of gratitude donation, almost, oh, whatever you think, which is silly."
I've thought about that one quite a bit too, because I've seen people do it. I'm like, that's such a lovely idea. And I will overpay you if you ask me for a donation.
Right? Yeah.
Good to know.
I absolutely do.
Valuable
It's
information.
probably about $100 for me to give them too, because I don't know what it's worth.
I do that. Even if you're not asking me for a donation. We did it in Sedona, Katie. Like, we had this experience that we did together, and at the end found out, we never even asked how much it was going to cost. At the end, found out what the cost was, and I was like, "What? That's all you're charging? No, I'm giving you more." That was one of the greatest experiences of my life, So yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing that I think that is worth mentioning, worth acknowledging, worth working through. And I think part of the reason that we find ourselves in this space is because we are coming out of the time of the masculine and into the time of the feminine. And what has been valued is shifting. And so it's also an imperative, I'm getting, that we move through, that we allow the value, that we allow the assignment of the value, the receipt of the value to come through, because that facilitates the shift in what, from what was valued to what will be valued. And this is a huge part. I just realized I circled my face. I didn't mean to do that. I'm at, this is what I do. This is when I'm receiving information, I have no idea why. This is where it comes. This is what I always do. This is where it feels like there's like a little stream right here. But this is what will be. I'm doing it again. This is what will be valued. This is what we're moving into, and so it is. We really are in essence being issued an assignment, a task, a challenge, to step up and step in and allow and accept that creation, because it is important that it come to validation and valuation of what needs to happen for us to move out of where we've been and into what's next.
I got a download on that while you're speaking as well, Kat. It's the feminine product, what the feminine production, what we give, has always been free. You think of what women provide, that for the last several centuries has been free. It's been expected to be free. We're expected to nurture, we're expected to house, provide, heal, but it's always been, we've been told it has to be free. It's part of a woman's work to do that. In order for the feminine to come up in her own power, it has to be valued at the same place as the masculine. And it requires healers to step into their power to show that they are valued and what they're providing is more valuable than anything that has been created in the three-dimensional world. And that's
mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
That's a great reframing for me to think of it that way.
And what if I could build on that a little bit, it was given free to others, but given at great cost to ourselves. And it is important that we be able to continue to give. So there is a requirement that the cost not be so great, that the cost not be great, not that it be so great, but that the cost not be great for us so that we can continue. So, whatever is being given is being offset, it's being replenished, it's being refilled so that it can continue. It is imperative.
Mm.
One of our viewers, Pamela Vargas, had said that. She said she can relate when she was a massage therapist. She suffered physically and emotionally because she took on other people's pain and emotions, and they were only committed for 1 hour. And she had to take that on at the end of the day, and process it, for time afterwards. So, I think that's an important point.
It's a great point. And what I would suggest, and Pamela's probably already figured this out, or maybe already figured this out, but our job is not to take on other people's energy, right? Our job is to allow it to move through. And that's a skill that can be developed and should be, really. I would say it would be extremely beneficial, because we don't have the ability as these 3D physical beings to take on other people's energy, process it for them, and then, move it on out. And a lot of people who are taking on energy end up stewing in it, sitting in it, holding on to it, becoming it, because you're either engaged in the practice of allowing it to flow through you, or you're not. And if you're not allowing it to flow through you, you are becoming it. And that is tough. It will cause physical, mental, emotional issues over time. It's hard enough to deal with our own stuff. None of us have the capacity, I think, to deal with everybody else's stuff too, or anybody else's stuff too, not if we're taking it on.
Very well said.
Women are uniquely trained for this mission that we're talking about, this really upcoming blasting forward with what is valuable, reprioritizing what is valuable and in our world. What do we prioritize? Is it money or is it love? And women are uniquely trained in order to bring this new message forward.
And it doesn't have to be one or the other, because money matters. It is valuable. We can change the face of the world when we have access to means. Money in the hands of light workers is a powerful thing.
Health is the new wealth.
I love that.
Amen.
Right there.
It is, though. I mean, I've seen many a millionaire that, has gotten ill and realized that at the end of it all, money can only go so far. And this is the real vitality. This is the stuff, and that's what women, like we're talking about. I mean, women are the creative ones, right? We have the babies, and we can channel that vitality, that natural healing ability to hold people and to hold communities and to bring people together, which is so desperately needed. I'm in Seattle, and actually in like 10 minutes, I think our he's made an announcement at 11 that he's probably going to lock us down to some extent. And here we go back into the, isolation, for the winter, which is necessary. But that's why shows like this and communities like this and tribes that are, positively trying to lift us up and carry us through these challenging times, united together. That's how we stay healthy, mentally, physically, and spiritually healthy, right? Humans need connection.
It's vital.
Absolutely.
I said it's vital. Connection is vital to us. So how do we snap back around to ways that we can better anchor in and be in the flow of receiving spirit, trusting it?
I'm sorry, I spaced out. Will you say that again?
Cat.
How do we anchor it in? What are the ways that we can anchor in that art of being in the flow, that art of receiving and trusting spirit and what comes through?
I think we've talked about quite a few that are really, really important. A big one is tribe.
Well, yeah.
Having tribe to help recenter you when you get into ego, to validate how really magnificent you are, is just critical. And I said this to Emily. I was talking to Emily the other night, getting away for a couple months and working on the contracts that I was working on. It reminded me that I was extraordinary. And that sounds like such an extreme statement, like such a narcissistic statement, but it's true. We're all extraordinary. And sometimes you just need to be reminded of that. And that's where your tribe can come in. They see you more clearly sometimes than you see yourself.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely. Yeah. Reflection, when my true friends can reflect honestly, even if it's information I don't necessarily want to hear, like sometimes you need that. I don't care how dialed in you are. Sometimes people, even Kat, even your team, can probably reflect things to you, and a loving, nurturing expansion, type of energy that only makes us all better, is just being open to that. And for me, one of the things that we talk about today that I have been working on for a long time, because like Chris, I one of my big lessons is abandonment, aloneness, healing the separation, right? And so focusing on how do I, get out of my ego, my individual self, and that feeling of separation, and connect into something greater than myself, and let my faith be bigger than my fear. And I love the Course in Miracles. I live by it. And it's like in any given moment, you have a choice. Do you choose love or do you choose fear? And it will shift your entire perspective of whatever is happening. And some moments, I will admit, it is way harder than others to choose love over fear. But it's usually those moments that are the ones where you are in the highest state of trust, in the highest state of faith, and you have to give it up to a power greater than you. You know what I mean? There's just, and that's when it all goes down,
So I totally agree. Well said. Super well said. I think praying is important too. I'm going to say it. Not everybody wants to do that or hear that or whatever, but I think it's super important. Asking for help, I think, is super important. Communicating with angels, asking for help from angels, from God, super important. I think that also talking to yourself in the mirror can make a big difference. Not just talking to yourself, but talking to yourself, yes, being aware of your words, all that kind of stuff. But talking to yourself in the mirror can make a huge difference when nobody else is around to say it to you or for you or whatever. Sometimes those are all things. And then I also think it occurred to me when we talk about anchoring in. I know we're talking about bringing in and grounding in or whatever, but it sort of almost feels like a homework assignment in a way. And I think sometimes if we just flip things even just a little bit, it could become like playing in the magic instead, or, being in the magic, like rather than how do I anchor into it? Like, how do I let go and dive in? How do I fly up into the magic? How do I, staying in body, because that's important, and powerful. How do I play in that? How do I let go and have the most fun there? Because when you can find that space, good luck staying out of it.
It's an addictive feeling. It really, truly is. It's joy.
And peace.
Absolutely. And I love the speaking to myself in the mirror thing and mantras. I'm huge on mantras.
Yeah.
It's the power of 3, right? If you say something 3 times, it's more likely to go into the long-term memory. I'm going to say something to myself so many times that it's just it's going to come naturally. And for the longest time, mine was just, I am light. And that was my mantra, I am light. And I would just look at myself in the mirror and say that. And it always made me feel better.
So everybody's homework assignment that's watching, we need to look in the mirror and say, you are extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
I am light, I am love, whatever it is. I love that. That's so beautiful.
And look in your eyes in the mirror while you're saying it, because you know what? Sometimes too, you look and you're like, I don't believe that. Clearly, I can see it in your eyes. I don't believe that. And then that's, just more reason to, I think it's more powerful when you're looking in a mirror. Because you are saying it to yourself. You're not just saying it, hearing it, whatever. You're looking in your eyes and saying to you the thing, whatever the thing is. There was an Oprah challenge. This is kind of funny. There was an Oprah challenge I don't remember when it was. It was probably in the
way ahead of her time, that Oprah.
And I was one of my earlier attempts at working for myself from home, and I spent a lot of time watching TV. And I got better at it as I went. But at that point, I was watching TV a lot. And she had said the challenge was standing in front of a full-length mirror, totally naked, and telling yourself that you're beautiful, your body's beautiful, I'm beautiful, my body's beautiful, and I love me. And I was like, I'm going to do this because I had no reason in particular to not like my body, but I didn't like my body, you know? And so I did this every day I did it for a long time. I no longer remember how long I did it, but I did it for a long time. And I am telling you, and that what spurred that was I was looking at a picture of myself from when I was 18, and I thought I was gross when I was 18. And I was looking at the picture and I went, I was not gross, you know? And it would have been nice to be able to enjoy that in that time. And I had this like realization, okay, I think I'm gross now too, but I'm later going to look back at me and go, I was not gross. I should be able to enjoy this. So that was what kind of spurred that. But at the end of the time that I did that, I really felt entirely differently, and to this day do, about my body. So, I mean, it does work. It does. If you're looking at yourself and talking to yourself, that connection that is made through your eyes, it makes a difference.
Yeah, it's like the money exchange that we talked about. You're making a commitment to yourself when you have to look at yourself in the eyes and say that.
Yeah.
And I love that challenge. And the Ho'oponopono challenge is the same thing. If you do it while looking at yourself in the mirror and you're really apologizing and loving yourself, you don't need to say you're sorry to anybody else in the world. Look at yourself in the mirror, say, I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, and thank you. Or whatever order you say it in. It is powerful when you look at yourself and you say that.
Yeah, life-changing.
Yeah. And nobody likes their body. I don't like my body either. but I love it. But I love it. I don't know who's listening.
I will say there are some things I love about my body. But I will say my favorite thing about my body is how miraculous it is. I mean, that's another place in which I sit, like not just outside, but inside. What it's been able to work through and recover from is mind-boggling. And the stuff that it does by itself, thank God, just, you know, and if I were to reinvest and in taking care of it the way that I should, gosh, what would it be capable of?
I know.
You know, putting in it what should be put in it, not putting in it what shouldn't be put in it, which I'm like this close. I'm on the edge to going back to that space.
All right, let's push you right there. What is it you should be doing that you're not doing?
Oh my gosh. I'm eating everything and anything. I mean, I'm eating everything and I'm even last night I had
Me too. I need Steph to make like a diet.
I'm sitting here trying to be quiet right now.
Help us out, woman. Tell us.
We're asking for help.
Stress eating.
It's important. I guess I will say that when I was adhering to, see, I'm even making it sound horrible. Adhering to, like,
just say it. Just say it. It's okay.
When my choices were healthy ones, I felt really good. Mm-hmm. I even looked different. I slept differently. I had better energy. My eyesight was different. Everything I noticed was totally different. And I didn't do it well, apparently, because I would do it, but then every 30 days, like clockwork, I would have a craving for chicken wings like nobody could possibly describe. And I didn't eat chicken wings before I did it. So I can't really, I used to hate them. They grossed me out. But I would go to a restaurant and order chicken wings and literally be asked, oh, is somebody else joining you? That's how many you order.
Oh.
And I would eat them all. And then I'd be good for another 30 days. So there's a way to do it, apparently. I don't know. And I'm not doing it well. But even with that, I wasn't doing it perfectly, whatever. Even with that, I felt better. We should have that as a topic. We should have.
I was just gonna say we could do like a little food consciousness journey.
I think we should absolutely do that because I think all the stress that's going on in the world right now has affected us all in such little subconscious ways.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I will get a salad and French fries on the side. I don't know why French fries have become so important to my life.
Comfort food.
It's terrible. I'm like, I don't want to eat this. I know I'm going to feel bad, but I'm craving it.
So what's interesting is potatoes on a spiritual level, I believe, and I know this because they've been a part of my journey on so many occasions. French fries in particular, potatoes, I believe, speak to I can't remember if it's a hesitation to move into what's next, or a pulling, a resistance, or but it has something to do with not fully stepping into what's next.
Oh, screw you, potatoes.
Right? And they're my favorite thing. French fries, potato chips, whatever. So I have a question. Are we going over because we started late? Or are we?
This is probably a good time to wrap it up. Well, I mean, it's 11 o'clock. It's 11:01.
You're assaulting the French fries. It's time to end the show.
I don't know. Yeah.
I totally agree with the food journey, though, Steph. You gotta help us. Help us.
I would love to bring you on a journey. I think that would be amazing.
I would love to go on a journey. That's awesome.
Can you come on a journey with me?
We are there.
Me and my thighs would love a journey. We're all about the journey.
Well, and just to point out, it's food, but it's amazing the subtle ways that stress is affecting us that we aren't even aware of. I went to the orthodontist the other day, and she was telling me how all of the oral surgeons in the area are like having a hard time because whenever they go in to do a procedure, everybody's coming in with cracked teeth. And it's because there's just, so much stress that people don't even realize that they're like, clenching their teeth. So I'm glad that we brought that up today, just so everybody can be a little bit aware of the ways.
That's a spiritual thing too. The cracked teeth, that's a spiritual thing too. I mean, all of it is. This is our soul's way.
Teeth are tied to the kidneys in Chinese medicine, which is tied straight to fear and fright. And, it is interesting, like you said, Louise Hay, Heal Your Body, Heal Your Life, where you can look up pretty much every physical ailment. It's really cool. I would highly recommend that book. And it'll break it down.
It's a good one. And it's you can actually do worksheets like through it.
What book is this?
It's called You Can Heal Your Life.
Louise Hay.
Yeah, I probably have a copy of it within 5 feet of me. But anyway, that all plays into trust too, which is really what we talked about today: faith and trust, stepping in, leaping in, sticking your toe in, any way that you can get in there. One step, and then the next, and then the next. I promise if you have faith and step forward in faith, it will be rewarded. And every step or every few steps will become easier. So we are encouraging you to take those steps and tell us about them. We'd love to hear about it. We can all relate. We're all still doing the same thing as the next part of our journey unfolds. So enjoy them, I guess. Try to smile and enjoy them as you go. And thank you for joining us. We love this time together, and we hope that we've touched somebody always, that our message is valuable and can have a positive impact, ripple out there. We are the Muses, and we are on every Sunday at, it's 10, right? 10 Pacific?
Yeah.
11 Mountain, 12 Central, 1 Eastern. And we'll see you next Sunday.
Have a great week.